I am not the big technology person, but I wanted to come live today. My name is Nadine, Nadine Fortune of Fortunate Awakening, and I am coming to do this video today, this live actually, to talk about my story of being a Jehovah's Witness for 20 years and then being able to leave the organization successfully. I did go through a period of depression. I even had thoughts of ending it all. My mother and I were in the organization, and then when I was disfellowshipped, she, did as the organization required and shunned me. And then she was diagnosed with cancer and subsequently died. Then I had a daughter diagnosed with autism, and just so many of the lies that I believed and was taught while in the organization. I thought it was like a curse or something. The reason why all of these bad things were happening. But it wasn't. It definitely wasn't. And I've had so many people that have contacted me and requested, like, oh my goodness, I wish, what is that? I wish that you were my life coach. Like, people have said, oh my goodness, you were able to come into this organization, get out of it within, one second, where is my door? Here we go. Okay, my stuff fell. You were able to get out of this organization after 20 years, and you've been out of it for 20 years and are living a life of happiness, mental stability. Because something that I saw a great deal when I was in the organization were people, men and women and children, that were so depressed. And then that's the same thing that happened to me, while I was in the organization and when I got out. And then people actually progressing, and just because they were stuck in that depression, taking their lives, people that had so much light within them, so much talent, so much intelligence, and young and old, taking their lives. And when I say young and old, young at the time was like 20 something. And then people, the old, were like my age, like I'm in my 50s now. So anyway, I posted my story and created this channel to give hope and encouragement to others. So many people contacted me when I initially started posting and just saying, oh my goodness, can you be my life coach? And I'm like, life coach. So you have to realize that term didn't even exist I wasn't aware of that term until maybe 10 years ago. So you have to realize I spent my professional career, next year will be 30 years that I have had the honor of serving as a registered nurse. So that term, life coach, really didn't resonate with me. Like, what is that? I'm a nurse. And people kept saying, you can understand my story, and I would recommend, as a nurse, when someone is having a psychological issue, mental issue, we make a consult for them to see a psychologist or a psychiatrist or a licensed counselor. Well, when I left the organization and I went to see a licensed counselor, someone that was recommended through my job's insurance, she basically told me, no, not basically, verbatim. When I gave her all the history of, I have this wonderful man that wants to marry me, but my religion has caused me to be shunned. Now I don't have any friends. She just said, oh, I think you need to move on. You've got a lot of things going on with you. There's nothing wrong. She could not understand the depression and the lack of confidence I had in myself based on the religion. That's the way I perceived it. But the more and more I have researched what psychologists do, what therapists and counselors, how they're trained, I've realized there wasn't anything that she could have helped me with. Once I was telling her, which I didn't admit to her, that I had plans of ending everything, there wasn't anything for her to be able to help me with. Because the way the counselors and the psychologists are trained, to my understanding, is they help you dig deep into whatever happened in your childhood that's relating to now, and that you're unable to cope with it. Well, when I went to her, it wasn't that I didn't understand what had happened. I had laid everything out to her, told her what I was going to do with my life moving forward, but still felt so depressed. So now looking back on it, I feel like she did understand. I realized I expressed to her so well what my plan was. There wasn't anything for her to help me with. So what I realized is that my friend, my very good friend that was a coworker that was there for me through the whole disfellowshipping of one of my a Jehovah's Witness in my city in Philadelphia, worked at my job. She came to my office and tried to attack me verbally, embarrass me, belittle me about being disfellowship. And what I realized is that my friend, who was a licensed social worker, she coached me. She coached me through the transition of standing in my power and deciding that I was no longer going to be a part of that organization, and that I was going to walk in my God-given power, my birthright, your birthright too, to live my life as I saw fit, the morals that I wanted to live by, the career that I wanted. Because when I decided to when I graduated from high school and went to college to be a nurse, the elders and the regular pioneers at my congregation were not supportive, like downright, like my mother was given all types of negative feedback and grief on why she couldn't get me under control for me to be a pioneer. I didn't want to be. I didn't want to be. So I decided that, with people asking me repeatedly about being a coach, when I started reflecting, like I said, it was my friend that kind of coached me through it. So the requests keep coming in. I just read an email this weekend from, oh my gosh, this wonderful woman that I know she has a light in her heart. And I said this to her in the email where I responded. You know, she was yet another victim of a man that was a Jehovah's Witness, that he used her, lied to her for years. And I was like, oh my gosh, so many people are being still negatively affected. Let me figure this out. How can I help people? People keep messaging me, well, it's emailing me and asking for help and guidance. So I knew, as a registered nurse, you can do counseling. This is not something that I wanted to do under my nursing license. Charging insurance and all those things. But I'm like, what do? I do want to help. And I do have over 20 years of experience walking through that shunning, disfellowshipping, shunning, living in that same neighborhood with the people that for 20 years had been my friends. And then all of a sudden, they looked at me like I had the plague. It's not an easy thing to walk through. but I do have strategies and things that I use to strengthen myself to walk through that and come out on the other side confident in who I am, who God made me. So many people come out and of the organization, they don't even want to hear about God. I'm trying to tell you, you need God. What? And I don't care. You might call God God, him, her, the universe. With the study and research that I have done, I now realize so much of what we've been told is just blatant lies, right? But I can't get caught up in the lies. I don't want you to get stuck in just saying, well, they lied, they lied. We still have the power and breath in our body today to move on and to start building the life that we want and walking in power. So I am going to offer coaching services. I've emailed like a couple of people that seem like they were ready for coaching. Now, just because were disfellowshipped or you even decided to leave the organization does not mean you're ready for coaching. People need therapy, psychological therapy. Many Jehovah's Witnesses, they were so controlled and told what to do. They have no sense of self. And I feel like, well, not just what I feel like, what my research has shown is coaching only works when you have already had therapy and you're at a baseline. A baseline meaning you recognize what has happened to you. You recognize that you were mentally abused, physically abused. I mean, if you were the stories that I've said in other videos, I did not know about anyone being sexually abused. 20 whole years in the organization, I did not know about anyone being sexually abused. So I was brokenhearted when people would email me about these horrible stories of them being sexually abused for years. The elders knowing. Somebody that has gone through that type of trauma and abuse needs therapy. You're not ready for coaching. You're going to go into coaching with, if you haven't healed those deep wounds, come to grips with it, come to a place, like I said, a baseline where you're willing to, where not even willing, where you're now capable, healed, and capable of taking your power, is coaching for you. You're not ready. I said it's the same thing with people like walking into, hi SD Air, hello, thank you so much for joining in. If you put any questions in the chat, I'll answer them to the best of my ability. But the level of abuse that went on, I know what I was saying. I had said in another video, like so many of the ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, and especially women, like that was who was relating to me, because they're like, okay, we're looking at you, Nadine. You got out. You were able to get a career. You were able to find a loving husband. You're having children. Trust me, I'm still always doing work. Please, no, the work continues. When I say work on reminding myself of who I want to be, the power that we have, and living on purpose in that every day, every day. And when I don't remind myself of it, by praying and meditating, and those are two different things, right? Praying is me talking to God, telling God what I want, what I'm thankful for, what I'm grateful for, how I want to help the people that I work with at my next shift at the hospital. Like, that's me talking. And then I feel like that's me praying. That's me talking to God. And then the meditating is me being quiet and hearing the answers to the things that I've talked to God about. Sometimes it's clarification about the things that I've talked to God about in my prayers. So even 20 years outside of the organization, I'm still doing work to continue to walk in my power. So if you, at the time when I needed therapy was when I was so depressed. I was so depressed. I was still walking in the lies, that all of these things that seemed so bad, and they were bad, they were hard to deal with, that this was punishment from Jehovah for falling in love with a wonderful man and uh, wanting to have a relationship, wanting to have purpose in my life, and my choice of what the purpose was. My choice. So I have to say, those feelings don't come up as anymore. Like it's over time though, with coaching, right? I've had coaching, but initially, if you're feeling depressed, hopeless, and if you have a plan to end it, a plan, seek mental health care. So let me give you some people might know how to do that, might not know how to do that. So people that have like are gainfully employed and you have health insurance, you can always call your health insurance, the number on the back of your card, and it will have a special number for mental health. That's 24 hours, that phone line, or you can leave a message. That's most insurances. If they don't have a special number, then you can call the regular number, and they will. It's a number for customer service. If you're the person that is insured, and then they will give you the information for the mental health services. If you're not insured, because for all of my life growing up, we were very poor. My mother did not have health insurance. I don't think I had health insurance. I didn't have health insurance until I graduated from college. Yes, I did not have health insurance. Wait, did my mom have health insurance? No, in high school, she took a job, and I started having health insurance maybe in 10th grade. So before that, whenever I would get sick, we would go to the area health clinics, and every area health clinic has mental health services. So you can look into wherever your area health clinic is, and they have mental health services. Then there are 1-800 numbers that you can call. You know what? And I give the mental health hotline number out when I'm at work. At least once a night, someone calls in crisis. So I will make sure I put that in the description when this live is over. So there is no excuse for you that if you are just like hanging on, just because you're getting up and going to work every day, you're getting up and taking care of your children, you're cooking some meals. If you just feel a little bit like it's too much, I want you to reach out for mental health. Because what happens is it might feel like this much, but it's not. It's bigger. But you're numb to it. You've been living in that for so long that you don't realize how close to the edge you are. There was just that shooting maybe a month ago in Europe, in a Jehovah's Witness Kingdom Hall, and that person, there were signs before they snapped. Oh my gosh. And they didn't want to do that. Like, they didn't know what else to do. They did not know what else to do. And I can say that people are like, don't be judgmental. Don't be you. I'm telling you, these people call me every night when I work night shift, and I man the emergency room triage. So I get tons of mental health calls. People that sometimes it's their families calling, and they're like, everything was fine. Everything was fine. It wasn't. They have been carrying this burden. So we know you're carrying a burden as a Jehovah's Witness, an ex-Jehovah's Witness, a shunned person. So get the help that you need. Now, when I think coaching can help you, in my experience, is, like I said, when you're ready to say, I want to build a new life. I want to, even if it means leaving the people that have been in my life for 20 years. For me, that was age 7 to 27. Some of the most pivotal developmental times, no, not some of the most pivotal and developmental times as far as becoming yourself. Prior to age 5, so much of your life, with with what has been studied with psychology, is what your parents have exposed you to. 7, from like that 13 years old to 21 is when you're out on your own. Your cortex of your brain is developing and individualizing you. Well, I was in the organization from 7 to 27. So all of that developmental time when you're becoming yourself and making your identity in the world and choosing who you want to be was completely controlled by the organization. So when I tell you I did a lot of work, I did a lot of work. Was it worth it? Yes, I would do it over again. So that is my recommendation to you. Begin the work. Once you're psychologically stable, begin the work and then continue. It's worth it. It's worth it. I see another comment. I gotta lean in. All counties the same. Yes, they do. Absolutely. Thank you so much for putting that in the chat. And I know that that's true. Just working as a nurse, and it is required, and they all have it. So you can find help. And like I said, what I'm going to say to you, do what I did. I did not rely on myself to know if I needed help. I want you to go and talk to a professional. If you have a primary care physician where you might be a healthy person physically, but you can even talk to your primary care doctor, and they, have like a check off list that if you answer certain questions a certain way, well, they'll even make an actual referral for you. So yes, it's available in the United States. I know it is. I have family that lives in Canada. It's available. I have family that lives in Great Britain. It is available. Mental health is available. We just have to go in and start the process if needed. Okay? And please do. Please do. It gets better. Take this from someone that had a plan. I had a plan. And many mornings I woke up and I was going to move forward in the plan. And I'm so glad I did. I couldn't have seen what was on the other side of getting the help that I needed. The ditch seemed like, where's the light? But get the help you need. Okay. So if you are ready for coaching, there will be a link in the description box where you can reach out to me, and then I'll send you the information about the coaching services that I will provide. But I feel like when you go into coaching, now you have to have your why, your reason. For me, my reason was my son. I had an infant son. When I hit my lowest point, my infant son was 9 months old, and my husband. My husband is completely a person in his masculine energy. You know how you have women that are like in their mother energy, their feminine energy, but then like I saw this being raised by a single mom, but my mom also had to get things done, had to pay all our bills, make sure our home was ran properly. So she was in her masculine energy too. I'm telling you, when I was so sad and wanted to end it all, I kept thinking, my husband is one of those men that is so in their masculine energy. Even when he would have tried his best, I don't think my son would have survived because he does not have mothering, nurturing instincts at all. And thank God, because that is one of the things that gave me pause with where he's saying I can't move forward with ending it all. Because what is he going to do with a baby? He just, it wasn't going to happen. So thank God for him being just so, I call him a caveman. Like, I call him a caveman because I'm just like, are you serious? Like, that's just not, he has none of that feminine nurturing energy. And it's okay, because naturally who I am is very nurturing, loving. That's why nursing has been the perfect career for me for 29 years. But it gave me pause, and I thank God for that. So suppose you're not married, suppose you don't have children. You find it could be that you're an artist. It could be that it could be your career. Let me give you an example of someone that was rock bottom. It's a relative of my husband. She had a rough life. Her mother was killed when she was, I want to say she was under 10 years old when she lost her mother. Different family members, within poverty, very uneducated, took her in, right? It's like, did they really, how much love were they able to give her, right? Because it wasn't like a welcoming. It was more like a responsibility. What are we going to do? So she went and lived with that family, and it was rough. It was difficult for her. She looked for love for years. She's now over 50 and never found that love. She finally found a satisfying career in her late 40s. Thank God she didn't give up, because she found a career that she loves in her late 40s. But there was an emptiness because she didn't have children, and she was never in a love affair. That is what she expressed to me. And then she was stricken with cancer. She was in a low place. Where does she look for her why to move on? She prayed. She tried to remain positive. I can't even imagine. She's just been alone her whole life, right? This dog comes into her life. She is not a pet person. So you think about somebody that's 50 something years old and has never had any kids and never married. She was used to her house being exactly the way she left her house. Bringing a dog up into the house? No. But this dog came into her life and needed her. And 18 months later, the way she describes her relationship with the dog almost brings me to tears, is that the dog saved her. I'm sorry, she saved the dog, but the dog saved her. It's her why. It's her why. A dog, somebody that doesn't like dogs. I know everybody has dogs now. They on an airplane with the daggone dogs. We're talking about someone that was not a pet person, but this dog became her why. She had not traveled on vacation for over a decade. The dog brought the relationship that they were able to have was so evident. I'm not a dog, I'm not a pet person, but it was so evident that this something as simple as this was able to give her meaning in her life. And hi, hello, M4R1. I think that's a Q. I guess. Give her meaning in her life. So to the point where now she wanted to go on vacation. She had not wanted to go on vacation in years, wanted to go on vacation and wanted to put the dog in boarding, but was afraid, what will happen if I'm out of the country and there isn't someone to take care of the dog? She calls my husband and says, will you, if God forbid, nothing's going to happen to me, but if something happens, will you take care of the dog? Like it was like when people have called us and said, can you watch over my child? And we because it meant so much to her, it meant that much to us. Like that, we made sure we kept our phones close. The time she was gone, we kept checking in to see what she was posting, like on Facebook. It meant a lot to her, so it meant a lot to us. So that story was, it touched my heart. That your why, I never thought somebody, me not being a pet person, I did not understand that even a pet could be your why. So even though you might have been in the organization for years, for most of your life, that's what has happened. A lot of people are just leaving the organization perhaps when they are 50, 60, and they were born in. You still can find your why. And then once you find that why, then you start working through. And I do recommend working along with a coach, because even though I was 20, almost 30 when I got out of the organization, my development had been stunted. My development had been stunted as far as making decisions for myself. Like I knew what I wanted, but I felt bad for what I wanted. Like I felt like, why are you wanting to be a nurse? But it was just something in me, and I feel like it was like it was coming from my heart, like this power, this energy from my heart that was like, you've got to walk in this. This is what you have to do. But in my mind, like from being in the organization, I had been told what my role was. My role was not the role that I felt like I was given as a woman from the inner, as a child, poor child in the inner city, was life is going to be horrible, because that's just how it is. Life is horrible, and we are working to tell others, ministering to tell others that yes, it's horrible, but we can have a better life when the new system comes. And that's not true. And that's not even with now, I've been able to look at the Bible with new eyes. Real eyes is what I call them. I was looking at the Bible when I would be studying the Watchtower and the Awake, and I wasn't really looking. You know, my eyes were open, but I wasn't seeing what was really being said. The Bible has so many gems of truth about how we're supposed to live right now on this earth. Going back and studying some of the morals and the like universal laws, right? Universal laws that are clearly in the Bible, clearly in there, have helped me so much on my journey. Initially, when I left the organization, I took my power in my relationship and I chose who I was going to be in a relationship with. Got this fellowship for that. I took my power when it came to, my career. But something that I did not know how to take my power was who I was as a spiritual being, who I was as a child of God. I didn't know how to do that. So I remember going and searching to other churches. Like it was a frenzy, because the organization had me believe and taught that this is the truth. So when I realized, okay, this truth is not working, this can't be what God wants. Otherwise, why would I be having these strong feelings of the opposite? I was not no lukewarm Jehovah's Witness, y'all. When I tell you I was trying to do, I wanted in my heart to do everything that was laid out by an organization. But it was a struggle. Like it was, and it wasn't like, it was coming from my heart. Like, nope, that's not what you want to do, Nadine. That's not best. So it was this constant tug of war. And I thought that the feelings that were coming from my heart were the bad feelings. Like, they would always talk about that scripture, the flesh is, what is it? The heart is willing, but the flesh is weak. That's not true. My flesh, my mind was trying to follow all of these laws, but my heart was like, no, this is not why you're here on this earth at this time. You're supposed to go serve at the bedside and take care of these HIV Patience. You're supposed to go into this neighborhood, this Vietnamese refugee neighborhood, with nobody in there looking like you, and this little boy, your interpreter. That's where you're supposed to go, Nadine. And what I'm telling you, yes, they did. They did give advice that caused so many people to put their lives on hold, and just advice that kept us stuck. So when I would talk back to, I would go into these what was considered dangerous community nursing situations, and I felt joy in those situations, telling the little boy, tell this your mom to do this, because it would be little kids interpreting for me. And that's where it would be me taking care of this gay, personal hospice, with HIV, homosexuals and heterosexuals I've taken care of that were end stage AIDS patients. And I felt good there. Like, I wanted to be there. Like, I knew that I could serve them with not only my knowledge, but my compassion, because I had no judgment for them. I just wanted to bring them some comfort. If they were going to be alive 2 more days, at least one of those days, Nadine had been there to care for them and give them some peace. And it was like, I couldn't ignore that, even though I was trying to, in my mind, follow the rules of the organization. And when we would read the Bible, and I'd be like, I don't want to do this. How am I helping people walking up and down the street? They're suffering now. And I remember thinking, okay, Jesus preached. This is when I still believed in like the whole rooms in heaven, that it was literal, or that some people were gonna go, like some people were gonna go to heaven, and then the people were the 144,000 go to heaven, and then there would be us on earth. So we didn't know who the 144,000 were, and I remember thinking, we don't know who they are. And all of these people, like, these people are here right now in front of me suffering. They're in front of me right now. When Jesus was on earth, right now, he healed the blind. Right then, in the moment when he was on earth, he helped that man to believe and get up and walk right now. And he talked about the rooms in heaven, but he helped them right then. And my heart just was like, you cannot not help these people. Like, it was just, I remember one time, well, I won't get off track. I'm sorry. I get so passionate about people in the organization stifling who they want to be, when there is so much good that needs to be done on this earth. Because I remember we weren't even encouraged to volunteer. No, we don't need to volunteer. That was what we were told as Jehovah's Witnesses. You don't need to volunteer. Just go out in the ministry. That's the best work that you can be doing. What? People are suffering right here. I want to help them and go out and field service on Saturday. Can I help them Monday through Friday and then go to field service on Saturday? No. It was all or nothing. So I had to walk in the power of the relationship that I wanted, the career that I wanted, and just the life that I wanted. So that's where I feel like coaching, life coaching, can help someone that has left the organization. Get your mental health straight first. Get that straightened out, because you have been through a lot of mental anguish and abuse. Once you get that straight, now it's time to start building your life, the life that you are meant to. Oh, thank you, dear. The writer Walker. I knew the first time I watched your videos years ago that you are one of those rare, precious, truly good-hearted people on the planet. Let me tell you, there are people in the organization that a part of why they're so mentally unstable is because they're not being who they're meant to be. And I think, well, I know I would have sunk deeper and deeper into depression, and possibly ended it all if I had not stood in my power and gone on to serve as a nurse. Because then that all of that, there would be no peace. There would be no flow. The organization required us to literally block off our hearts. Everything was very mental. It was very, when I say mental, they would call it the truth, right? The truth. And it was just like, these are the rules. And you couldn't question them or use your intuition. The research that that has been brought to me, with me asking, how do I help my fellow Jehovah's Witnesses? How do I help them in a responsible way, in an organized way? Because you can't jump around from here to there. You can't try to coach somebody that actually needs mental health intervention. That would be very irresponsible of me. And having been in that state of depression, I know that that's a very fragile person. A person is not seeing reality. They don't know how to see reality, because for all of their time in the organization, you're taught just to shut off your emotions, not your emotions, and emotions are not bad. Why would we be designed, our human design, have emotions? We're feeling them. We can't see them, right? It's not a fact. Your emotions don't even always line up with what you're seeing. And you're like, why am I feeling this way? This is not rational. Well, we can't shut them off. We have to investigate our emotions. Investigate, what does this emotion of, for instance, anger mean to me? Why am I experiencing that anger right now? Then what you do is then you say, how can I use this anger in a way that is beneficial to me and beneficial to those around me? That's what you do. I feel like Jesus showed us, he had multifacets, right? He was the praying Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. But when things wasn't right, he was tossing tables up in the temple, right? So we're not meant to be one person all the time, one energy all the time. I understand now with my studies, there is like the way I visualize it is like a circle, and it's a continuum. And we have different types of energy, and we are all of them. We different like personas. Sometime when I'm working, I'm always in mother persona. I am always mother persona. You could be 70 and I was 40 and I was mothering the 70-year-old man, because that's my nursing persona. Now, if I'm walking the streets of West Philly, coming home from my 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. shift, getting off the train, I can't be in mothering persona when somebody looking shifty walking up on me or coming down the train steps, right? Now I gotta be in savage mode. I gotta be making eye contact with you, let you know, try if you want to, but it's gonna be, we gonna tussle, right? But it's like we have all of these personas in us, and they are all needed. The organization made us block out whatever our natural personas were, and wanted us to be this one persona that they designed for you, that benefited them, that controlled you, created fear to control you. So no wonder people were going mad, because every place else, like in the continuum where you might rotate to savage or go back to mothering, go to, if you're married or you have you're in a relationship, there could be a sexual side of you, that sex kitten side of you, different things. Who we are not just this, we're not a table. Like a table is a table today, tomorrow, at 6 p.m., at 6 a.m. A table is a table. We're fluid human beings. We are every woman, every man. You are. Like I said, some people might have pieces of the pie in the circle. They might have a large piece that's all, so they're always in masculine energy more than that because that's a bigger part of who they are. For me, I feel like the biggest part of me, where I say most of the time, where I'm comfortable most of the time, where I serve myself in integrity, where I serve the world in integrity, is when I'm in my mothering energy. That is where I'm so comfortable, so comfortable. Um, so that's what the coaching can help you do. It can help you realize as you build this life now, like, who am I? And who do I want to be? What is resonating with my love energy? What is resonating with who I feel I am? Let me first identify these things. And then once you identify them, okay, am I too much in my masculine energy? Because you might be residing in a masculine energy as a female only because you don't know anything else. Like growing up in the inner city hood, um, a lot of women spend much more time in their masculine energy than is probably what is true to them. But you don't have a choice, okay? You it is out of survival mode. So I feel like when I looked back, I feel like I like to backtrack on things to get, oh, thank you, the writer Walker, thank you. Um, I feel like I look what I did over the past couple of years with just thinking about how I can help my XJWs to build their life. So I kind of backtracked. I backtracked on what was successful for me and really looked at what I did, um, wrote about it, read about it, and then I did a deep dive into psychology because even though I have had my Bachelor of Science in Nursing for 29 years, yeah, because next year will be 30, I only had like 4 psychology courses in most, four, 3. And most of them were for developmental psychology. It was developmental, little Freud, different things, but it wasn't a deep dive. So I did a deep dive into psychology studies over the past year and also evolutionary psychology studies because I always was not sure. Oh, thank you. My phone is falling. Sorry, guys. I don't know why my phone is falling. Let's see. Nadine, you are balanced. Okay. Oh my goodness. Now that you mention it, it is so true. 30 years later, I still sometimes have to shed the persona they gave me. Absolutely. Yes. You have to, it's ongoing. It's ongoing. The work is ongoing. And I would say the persona that they gave you, you keep working on shedding it for sure, but don't put any blame on yourself because it's still, because we're fluid beings, because our energy, we are energy now with all of the research that's out there with these high powered electromagnetic microscopes, they can look at cells. Like we literally now know based on science, when you're looking at me, I'm not solid. I like literally there's space where you can go between my cells. That is what they can see on these high powered microscopes. It's the quantum physics. It is amazing. It is absolutely amazing. So because we're fluid and we're moving, you're gonna slip back into the persona that you might not want at that time. And that's okay. You need that persona sometimes. Sometimes it's embarrassing when I behave savagely. Sometimes it's embarrassing because it's not who I want to embody. But I can't get rid of Savage Nadine because when we're at a basketball game, and when I say these things, these are not hypothetical. When we're at a basketball game and a parent has cornered my 16-year-old son in the bathroom and punched my 16-year-old son in the face, we don't need Mother and Nadine. We need Savage Nadine. We need to bring her out. So, all of the personas are needed, And we just have to learn which ones we want to identify with and how to use them, like I said, to benefit ourselves and others around us. So that's what I feel like the coaching helps me do as well. And then that's, what I want to help people do. So I am so glad that that young woman sent me that email, um, because it was like right on time. Like I knew this was coming. I knew this was coming where I was going to go into coaching. But like I said, I wanted to be responsible about it. There's no way. People are so hurt. People are so lost. People are so shut down and they feel helpless, but they're not. The power is all within us. And the way to reach it is through your heart and through love. I believe that. I said that years ago. I didn't know how to. I remember saying in a video that I believed that love was the answer, and that was God gave that to me. But I didn't know how to help people get to that. So I've done the backtracking. I've done the work, and I'm available to help you, fortunate ones. I'm available. So I'll put all that. I'm going to put the mental health information in the description box, and I'm also going to put my email. Well, you can if you email me, because that's on my channel. Like it shows you my email address. It's fortunatelivingrn@gmail.com. And when you email me, that starts the cascade of me sending you all of the particulars about allowing me to work with you as you walk into your power, as you progress on your journey. Um, and I'm excited. I'm excited that I'm being chosen to be used in yet another way. And if nothing else, this experience of being a Jehovah's Witness, as it was not, for what it was, but now I can firsthand help others because I understand what it's like to be in this subculture, and to be controlled and to be shut off, and let's find our way out and let your light shine. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you for helping me make this announcement. I feel like you joined me for this announcement. And I'll talk to you all soon. Thank you.